Hey beautiful souls, Cora Flora here, and today I feel inspired to make a video on the topic of honoring the dark feminine. I don't know if I'm gonna make it sparkle. Maybe I will make it sparkle because I do love beauty and I do love sparkles and I love making things fun and interesting. But yeah, this video, I'm gonna free flow it just from my heart and soul, just whatever wants to flow through. I've said my prayers, so I trust that wherever my consciousness and energy is guided is gonna be for my highest good, your highest good. And really, I just want to share my personal journey because I feel like it's one thing to like share these overarching big concepts, and yes, I'll weave some of those in, but personally, I find I learn best from human to human experience storytelling. And even though my delivery isn't perfect, in a way, I'm actually appreciating it more than ever because the weirder I am and the more incorrectly I speak, the harder it is for AI to emulate me. So here I am, even though, you know what, that being said, I love AI. I'm going to say this, I love AI. I am not against it. I feel like there's a divine intelligence in everything, and I support this. And I believe there's love and spirit and soul in everything, and I support that. And I feel like it's time to just really embrace our strengths and work together and love each other and make the most heaven on earth we can with all of the amazing gifts we are and we're giving. So on that note, the dark feminine. Let me just take a sip of wine to get into the vibe, as if I need it, but honestly, so I admit, like, I guess if you've seen my Euphoria music videos, you know I have a dark side. But I feel like, especially when I started my YouTube channel around like 2011, strangely it was the same time that Teal Swan was starting hers. And that was pretty amazing to watch her journey go because she was consistent every week. She has been like what a queen and boss to do that. Me on the other hand, I don't know. I've just been like doing music, and then occasionally I'd feel inspired to do a YouTube video and I'd plop one out. But then just kind of like, I don't know. I haven't been that committed. But lately I'm feeling like I miss this. I love this. I feel like it's a really great way to share love and share inspiration, share healing energy, share authenticity, and plus it's just my joy. Like honestly, like I love vlogging. Like if you go to my Instagram, you'll see I do little vloggy reels every so often. It's like a little bit of my desire just splurting out. Wow, I'm using very human body functioning words. But yeah, I used to do daily vlogs and travel vlogs, and I'd love to do theme specific vlogs as inspired moving forward. But I also miss just doing these sort of like video heart to heart, like expressions of my soul whenever I feel inspired. And, the spirit moves me and it's moving me. So let's talk the dark feminine. And I feel like I want to go back to my first MDMA trip where I had just previous to that done my first past life regression. So I had gone to 3 lifetimes that were relevant to this one, and all of them were connected to honoring the divine feminine. And on my first MDMA trip, I remember I was like, holy shit, like I just felt like this connection with my soul. I felt more me than ever. And I also just got a dialed in download about like, this is my purpose, this lifetime and other lifetimes, but also this one, like empowering that divine feminine. And for a lot of my journey, as some of you may have witnessed on my YouTube channel and in my music, it's been very love and light. It's been very like, I choose love and I'm going to forgive and, being very much like sparkly and loving, because there is a huge power in that, if not the greatest power, love. And love isn't just yes, 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 yes. Love sometimes is no, 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 fuck no, because we deserve better. And I feel like embracing the light and the dark inside of us, just like the moon, just like the seasons, I'm holding incense right here, is really valuable. Even for women, like we have a whole monthly cycle where we go through all these seasons, dark and light every month. And it's been beautiful for me to find my own mystical relationship with my moon time. And I feel like for all of us, it's a mystery. It's meant to be a mystery. And we get to glean our own wisdom from our experiences and find our own way, our own truth, our own light in the dark of it. Because honestly, it's so weird. Like every month, blood comes out of my, it's like so weird. And, And I feel like it's still something where I'm like, why, creator, why? And that mystical question just kind of like opens me up to infinity. But a blessing of that is that it has also helped me to tune into my body, tune into my intuition, tune into my own inner wisdom in a way that like I'm really grateful for, you know? And especially as I track like my journey as a human this lifetime, like I was raised to be ashamed of it. Well, at least I hid it for a long time because I was so ashamed. And then I was taught to use like these plastic weird things plus birth control, weird fucking hormones and shit. What? And now, 38 years young, in my experience, I've learned like, oh wow, like I can use toilet paper. Oh wow, I can track my cycle and I know exactly when I'm fertile and when I'm not. I don't need to use any weird chemicals. And I feel like there's like so many ways that this can be improved, and I'm ever evolving. I definitely am interested in exploring a lot of different things and see what works for me. I'm always journeying through this existence and wanting to optimize my experience. And but yeah, I mean, even just getting to those simple basics of like, you don't need to use those garbagey, unnecessary things that get put in the landfill for something so sacred and beautiful and divine, yet dark. And same thing for like birth control, like use the Flo app, Flo, Flow. You can track your cycle, you can figure out exactly when you're fertile and, you know, be cautious during those times, but otherwise like, it just blew my mind. It's these little things I've learned. And same thing for learning about like the emotional cycles of the season, or sorry, the emotional seasons of the cycle, of like recognizing like when I'm in my spring, when I'm in my summer, when I'm in my autumn, when I'm in my winter, and recognizing that the emotions aren't just like crazy woman hysteria. Like, no, this is like, I mean, of course, it's important to be emotionally mature, responsible, try to communicate in the best way, and, you know, do no harm as much as possible, create healing. But, like, I know for me, like, I give myself the love and the space to acknowledge that all my feelings are valid. It's okay if I feel triggered. It's okay if I feel angry. It's okay if I feel sad. And I find that, especially when I use my tools like journaling, therapy, creative expression, talking to friends, like getting to the core like jewel of truth within that, whatever the emotion is, usually there's value and there's like very important information that's being translated from something deeper and beyond me that is important. So yeah, so I feel now guided to go to another MDMA experience, which for me are very divine feminine experiences in my own experience. I've been blessed to have some very well supported, positive, and deep experiences. But this one I want to go to where I think it was like either it was like the winter solstice or it was I think it was the winter solstice or New Year's Eve, something like that. But it was winter, Canada, new moon, dark AF. And I was at this party thing and I took MDMA, and at first it didn't kick in because I didn't really feel safe. But then I found myself just like sitting by a Himalayan salt lamp, just like holding the salt lamp. And I started to get, you know, the mystical spirit feelings started to flow. I was like, okay. And then I felt guided to go outside and walk into the wintry, dark, snow, freezing night with a coat on. And my friend was worried about me, and I was like, don't worry. I can feel your fear. I don't need your fear. In this state, I'm totally golden. Like, I got this. Thank you. And I just walked into the I walked into the snow, into the dark by myself, and it was so deep, and I feel like I got such a deep like connection and initiation and love and appreciation for the dark feminine, and the words that came to me and the energies and the archetypes that flowed through and communicated with me, for me, as me, through me, to me, were like the crone, the bitch, the witch, like all these dark condemned parts of the goddess. And I remember that trip was interesting because I was at this party, but I wasn't like partying and having fun. I was just like in this deep download zone of like, holy shit. And I was like connecting with the earth and connecting with like even the spirit of wheat. There was wheat fields around us, and I was getting the feeling of just how angry a lot of the the plant spirits are around all the genetic modification and just the lack of care and love and like sacredness for the gift of food and life and so much. And also personally then realizing, oh, maybe that's why my thyroid always acts up every time that I have wheat that's like really genetically modified and chemicalized. So anyway, so just part of my experience. But yeah, I mean, I admit, like, I've been working on a new album for the last few years. And by the way, when I say I admit, I've been tracking this because my friend Jared, who I mentioned, I love him. He told me recently, he was like teased me about it. He was like, "Oh, you admit something? Like, what are you admitting?" But this is just the way I speak when I'm unraveling layers of truth and authenticity. Even in my journaling, I'll be like, "Well, truthfully and like honestly and like truth be told, like as I get deeper and deeper into like that unraveling authenticity, like sometimes I use these words because it feels like I'm admitting something that I'm scared to say, or I'm like being more honest than I was before about something, you know, and it's whatever, it's just how I talk. And AI, good luck. Good luck, you can't catch me, okay, being so weird. Anyways, I love you though, AI, work with me, we're friends. But yeah, so, yeah, my new album, I've been working on it for the last probably, let's just say 2 years at this point. If you count the like spiritual development, initial downloads, production, songwriting, recording, and then editing, like I've got it almost like 80 to 90% done at this point. And it's been interesting watching how, just like my last album, Euphoria, is kind of a shadow work album. This one is interesting because it's dark and light, like a really nice combination. But when people ask me about it, I always tell them, I'm like, it's like Goddess Gangster. So it's kind of like full love and light, but also full depth and power. So yeah, and I'm excited to share it. And like some of you who've been like on my YouTube, in my YouTube community for years, you might be surprised because like you might think that, oh, Cora Flora is just this like sparkly hippie, you know, love and light. Nah, I got dark. And I'm still light too, I'm both. And I feel like that's a really good place to be because I do feel like just like the yin yang or the Sri Yantra, like there's power in the polarity. Maybe we should take a sip of tea. But yeah, I'm really excited to share this album with you. And for me, I feel like it carries like important medicine of that dark feminine where, like, I know for me, like, especially when I reflect on my own personal human journey and then the journeys I've witnessed of other women and even friends, people along my path that I've experienced, the days of people pleasing, like, of course we can do that. We're amazing at it. We'll please you, sure. But, okay, that's getting kind of weird. But the truth is we'll also please ourselves. And it's important to find that balance. And right now there's been so much that's been out of balance that I feel like strong female energy is really important. And the truth is just when that love is flowing authentically, it might have to be dark. It might have to say no. It might have to say like, hey, you're full of shit. Or like, hey, no, that's not cool with me. Like, that's not okay. And especially just considering like the depth of wounding and shadow, especially when I consider my lifetime and a lot of the medicine that I'm here to bring is around sexuality and love and you know, emotional trauma, sexual trauma, and bringing healing to that. And my songs carry a lot of medicine for that, because medicine for me, and my prayer is that it helps others too, and especially for women, I hope it gives them power to like stand up for themselves and own their desires and say no, even if it's scary, and then know that, you know, say no and no. Interesting that they're the same word, to know and to no, to know. Because sometimes, you know, it's a no. And for me, coming back to like my journey with like listening to my body, my intuition, and my feminine power, you know, because I feel like emotions, like the water and the earth of our being, have so much power, and there's so much innate wisdom. Like, I know for me, when I consider like the mind could be like this or that or this or that. I could argue any freaking perspective on anything. Just ask anyone who's like studied debate in school or anything. You can find an angle to find any truth, you know, logistically through the mind, but when you get into the body and the emotions and the heart, it's like that's kind of undeniable. Like I know for me, because like there's a clear feeling in my gut and my core of a yes or a no. And I live a lot of my life these days based on that. Like I just choose based on like, how does this feel? How does this feel? And like, yes, I'll consider the logical perspectives, and I'll listen to spirit, I'll pray it up and listen to the synchronicities and the guidance and flow and surrender. But yeah, ultimately, like I do listen to my body. I do listen to my heart. And I feel like there's power in that. And there's a deeper truth that is there. And I feel like, especially moving forward in this world, like, you know, I'm here to be real and authentic as possible. And I'll just say like, fuck COVID and all this shit. This was such a hard couple of years. I mean, I've already been going through my own healing journey and stuff, but then yeah, like COVID happening, this was like a collective trauma. And then now looking at everything that's happening in the world and all the bigger social movements that are happening to illuminate things, great. And then, you know, now looking at what's happening in Gaza and stuff, like it's traumatic and it's hard and it's confusing. And then now we have all the AI stuff and all these, I mean, there's so much fucking shit going on, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like if I was all love and light and you should just love everything, just like poop sparkles on everything, only eat sparkles and just poop on everything. Okay, maybe that's fun if you're a unicorn, but even unicorns are like these high integrity beings that like fucking rescue Harry Potter or whoever needs to be rescued, you know, the star on Stardust, but like they're willing to go into those dark situations and bring their light. And I feel like there's many of us here that like we're not meant to just be like people pleasy, like love and lighters. We're meant to be the full spectrum of who we are, which could be, you know, a rainbow going all the way down into the darker tones and all the like fucking dark shit that we gotta acknowledge. And the truth is that there's so much medicine there, even though it's hard. And literally our bodies, I mean, I don't know if I'll speak for myself, like I literally have PTSD around certain things that make it hard to go into certain realms or memories or experiences because my body's literally like, no, like let's protect ourselves, we need to survive. But the older I get, the more I develop my skills and tools and like support and stability, the more I'm able to go into that and then bring the medicine and like shine love and like, yeah, just help myself and help thus other people. You know, I feel like there's many of us that like our healing journeys, yes, they're for us and for our lineages, but more than that, they're for the world. Because like, you know, when we share online or we share in conversation or we share our healing gifts with whoever we feel called, however, we get to amplify that. And that's one of the reasons why I really love music and the internet. Like, you know, I love music. Just, I mean, I could speak about it forever, but like, I love that it's just like gift wrapped energy and consciousness healing. It's like here, you know, I've benefited so much from people like India Ari, Trevor Hall, Ani DeFranco. Those are the top 3 that are coming to mind right now. But like, those are people where like their lyrics and their souls translated into song and their experiences helped me so much, gave me such a like evolutionary like shortcut in a way. And that's another thing that today I was watching a video on YouTube with Layla Martin and Dr. Kat, I forget her last name, Meyer. It was all about sexual awakening and healing. It was a brilliant video. I will leave the link below because I got you. Like, seriously, guys, I'll share the best stuff with you. But they were talking about psychedelics and their power to create a reference point where like, and this is something that I've been trying to communicate about my experiences and like what I feel is a potential and a beneficial opportunity for so many people, is that they can provide you a new reference point, a vantage point. I like to call it like almost like a shamanic shortcut of like, this is possible. It's possible to feel like this. It's possible. Like I said, back to my first MDMA ever. I remember just being like, oh my God, my body's perfect. Like, whereas my whole life, I just thought I was way too fat, you know, not good enough, shame, 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 shame. You know, I've just been in this like dense, like fucking, like, what is it? Those like sumo, I've been like in a sumo wrestler suit of shame for a lot of my life I was, and I'm still working through layers of it. Thankfully, like, it's dissipating the more that I deconstruct it and love myself and eat healthy and just like listen to my body and like love myself unconditionally and all this stuff. But the contrast of how I felt before I did MDMA the first time, and then in that moment, I remember just being like, oh my God, like, I'm in love. And it's so small, like, it's so small, it's perfect. And like that feeling combined with all the amazing downloads that happened on that trip, like just being able to like really hug my friends and like really soak it in after being so scared of like intimacy and vulnerability and connection. And I mean, I could probably do a whole course on my freaking experiences, but who cares? I'm just going to share what's most relevant for us in this moment. But yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful to that medicine. And, you know, since then I've also explored a lot of different psychedelics, and I really, really value, especially the natural ones too, because I think it's easier to get, really like experiences that are like better for your body, because sometimes the chemical stuff can be a bit rough, and, experienced that recently, but it was still worth it. But yeah, I think it's really important to find really good sources and make sure it's tested, and like from a person that you trust. If you feel so guided, do whatever you want, but legally, etc. Follow your own heart and soul and inner guidance. But yeah, definitely I found there's also value in combining MDMA, which to me is like this like pure love, heart opener, spirit expander. Combining that with LSD or mushrooms is really helpful, because then you get also that light and that consciousness, like that divine masculine medicine of like seeing and knowing, and like it's pretty brilliant. I'm really grateful that I've had access to these spiritual tools in my life, or power tools, I'd say. And I'm definitely a fan of doing it with the right set and setting, and right dosage, right people, etc. Only we feel guided. Like even for me, like I've done a journey like twice a year in the last year. I would love to be doing it more often, because when I think about like what church is meant to be a communion with spirit, and like an ability to like connect, refresh, revive, rejuvenate, and then meet the week with like a whole new beautiful energy. So I'm excited to do more if it's in my highest good, if it ever it is. But yeah, anyway, so back to honoring the dark feminine. So one more little story I'll share, because I got to go pretty soon. I'm meeting up with a friend. We're going to a Mexican restaurant here. I'm excited. And by the way, this friend, like, she's so cool. Like, I met her at the grocery store here in a small town where I live in British Columbia. And I think she was buying flowers that I had bought. So I like to just say hi. And especially when I see like interesting people, I like to just like sometimes give them a compliment if it's authentic or whatever. And with her to open up this conversation, then we add each other on Instagram, and I was like, holy shit. Like, she's like this astrological business consultant rocking her genius. And for me, as someone who's been gaslighted and kind of hesitant to like share my weirdness sometimes, because like I'm just so vulnerable and sensitive, I was like, holy shit, this woman's a boss. Like, she's just like, do this, la 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 la. Like, she just trusts herself. She's got so much knowing, that capital N knowing, and just rocking it, and like successful in her business, and just like super strong and awesome and kind, and in person as well. Like, she is a shadow worker. Like, and even hanging out with her, like, it just feels like it's like Zorro just coming to like right all over your shadows. But like, it feels so good. And like, for me, I'm like, oh, like, yes, thank you. I'm joking. It's not like that. But like, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, I'm like, yes. I just feel like there's so much relief in acknowledging the dark with love, and acknowledging the truth of who we are. Because then we're not wounded by unconscious shadow. Because that's the thing, is when we're faking that, like, oh, we're all light and everything's perfect, but let me just have my dark shadow shit and take it out on you, or whatever, like talk about you behind my back, or, you know, all this dark, like the shadows are there anyways. The dark is there anyways, right? So like, I would just rather we're honest about it. Like, I would rather be around people who are integrated, where they're like, yeah, I'm light and I'm dark, and I'll be honest with love with you about it. But like, yeah, like, I'm going to be honest with you. And I really value that, because that's a safer place for me. And it's a place where I'm like, okay, yeah, like I might have to take a few truth pills, gulp, but like it's delicious. It's vitamin. Thank you. And, but anyways, yeah, I super, super, super value this new friendship, and I hope to interview her at some point. But yeah, it's funny because back to the story I want to tell is her and I on the weekend, we actually did a psychedelic journey together. Unexpected, we were just at a dance event. I think I mentioned it. And it's funny because like when we were about to do the drugs, we needed a private place to do it, and we were in the bathroom, and I was like, we just stepped into a bathroom stall. I was like, here, step into my office. And I closed it, and then she kind of thought that was funny and like an interesting like part of my medicine of like transmutation of shame, because I had no shame about that, and interestingly enough, like if I'm to be honest about my MDMA experiences, once. So this is why I feel like there's this like divine feminine yet dark aspect to MDMA, at least in my experience, and maybe the way my soul connects with it and facilitates and journeys with it. So I was at a festival in Ontario called Om Festival, and I had taken some M, and I was waiting for it to kick in. It took a long time because I feel like, again, for me, it's important to feel safe on a lot of different levels. And that's, you know, as a facilitator, that's something that I'm really interested in, like cultivating and understanding and helping, like the ultimate safety in every way, like spiritual, emotional, mental, sexual, physical, like all those areas. Like, how do we make you feel as safe as possible? Because when you feel safe and you genuinely know that you are, because that is my promise, magic happens. And anyways, so I remember I was like at this festival, Om Festival, and I was sitting in these like, they were called kaibos. It was like these interesting like outdoor compost toilets, but they were like kind of set up almost like Catholic confession booths, where there was like, you could like sit and there's like someone behind you, there's like just a fabric in between you. And I remember at one point, like I was sitting there and I was starting to go poop. Everybody poops, right? Anyways, we all do. If you don't, you have a problem. But like, let's just admit, we're human, right? Most of the people, I don't even know who's watching this, but I imagine you're human because we're on planet Earth in the year 2024 and it's mostly human. Anyways, so I remember I was like in the Kaibo or whatever, the like divine feminine confession booths. And I think someone said something, and then I started to talk to them. And then we started to have this whole conversation. And then my body was like releasing and like up leveling and like connecting with this like dark feminine, like earthiness. Like, cause obviously like, we're sitting there shitting. We couldn't see each other. It was dark out, but like, it's a very humbling, human, earthy, dark experience. And dark, I don't even know, it was literally dark out, so whatever. But yeah, and it was beautiful. And like, I remember in that moment, I got these downloads about like the divine feminine and the earth, and like, just like releasing shame around these aspects of our being. And of course they're sacred and, you know, deserve to be protected and honored and stuff. But like, I just remember just getting this whole like download about it. And since then, like even every time I do MDMA, like the moment of the poop is very important, because all of a sudden usually there's a very deep symbolic release, and then whoop, the energy goes up, and then it's like there's more like love and light. And like, anyways, I'm probably saying way too much on my YouTube channel. I hope I don't regret this after, but you know what? This was me on March 30th, 2024. Enjoy. And I really appreciate the internet and just how it can infinitely bless us. But yeah, back to honoring the dark feminine. I mean, I feel like, yeah, it's important to really honor what's in your heart. And like, if you feel drawn to certain goddesses, you know, for me, Persephone is a big one that I really resonate with. Even the name Cora is based on her. And whatever it is that you resonate with, like, ask them for help, like connect with them, because there's medicine, you know. And dark doesn't necessarily mean malevolent. I think there's a difference between dark and malevolent. There can be a dark benevolent, and that's what I'm really here for, is like honoring and loving my darker parts, my shadow, and the things that are like unacceptable to society or like condemned as wrong, or like, but like honestly, just it's about love. It's just about expanding and like really infiltrating my whole being with like so much alchemical, beautiful, honoring infinite, incandescent love. I don't even know what incandescent means, but maybe the candle back there can speak to it. Anyways, all I can say is like, I love the beauty of the mystery, and I love the full spectrum of experience, and I celebrate that life is full of cycles, and even me, I'm full of polarity, and it's beautiful and worthy of love. And like I said, I don't mean malevolence. That's not the kind of dark I'm talking about. I'm talking about like just the polarity. And if ever you are, just one last tip, bonus tip, is if ever you are venturing into the spiritual realm, say you're doing a meditation, or you're going to see a healer or a psychic, or you're going to do a plant medicine or a psychedelic journey, and you're scared about that malevolent energy, know that it does exist. So pray for protection. I like to pray to Archangel Michael, or, Great Spirit, Great Love, angels, ancestors, alignment by highest good, whatever. But like, whatever it is that you connect with, know you can pray for protection, and just trust that it is so. And love is more powerful than fear. Like, there's been so many movies we've all seen with all these myths, and whether it's a unicorn, or love conquers all, or you have no power over me. There's so many beautiful weavings of wisdom that we can find and access, so that whenever we're in those moments, our own hero and heroine's journey in this life, these lives, this gorgeous time to be alive, know that it's accessible and the power is right here within. And yeah, so I love you so much. May the power of the dark and the light be with you for your highest good, the highest good of all. And yeah, thanks for listening to my poo stories.